Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of College Football Forecast. We're the King Bros. And on this week's episode, what we're going to do is we're going to review last week's games that we picked. Then we're going to preview more games for this week, the Big Ten East and some of the other premier games throughout the country. All right, so last week in the Big Ten East, Ohio State, they beat Oregon State pretty good, 77-31. As a Buckeye fan, I wasn't happy with how many points we gave up, but I thought the offense looked very dynamic. And overall, it was a pretty easy win.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. All right, the Penn State-Appalachian State game. Penn State ended up winning 45-38 in overtime. But Appalachian State really had the game won in the fourth quarter. It was tied. And they were driving the ball. All they had to do was run the ball a couple times to let some time run out, kick a field goal for the win. Instead, they scored a touchdown and gave Penn State the ball with too much time left. Chase McSorley took it down the field and eventually forced overtime to win. I think I never really thought Penn State would be that good this year, and obviously after that game, it kind of puts some doubt into a lot of people's minds about how good they'll be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. I think their ranking's overrated. I think they're the fifth best team in the Big Ten this year, although Michigan didn't look good either.
Right, and they might have a test this week. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, on Friday night, I believe, Michigan State played Utah State in a night game, and that was another very scary game for Michigan State. I was high on them to start the year. They ended up winning 38-31, but Utah State had a late lead as you were watching. I couldn't watch the game.
They did.
You can talk about how that game ended if you want.
Okay, so I thought Brian Lewerke looked good. I don't know what happened at the beginning of the game because I only started watching at the end. He escaped pressure and made a really nice throw to his number one target, Felton Davis, and that was like a 30-some yard gain. And then their new running back, Hayward, freshman running back, Connor Hayward, I think is his name, is a really good new running back for them, and he scored the touchdown to give them the lead, and they ended up stopping.
They went for two, right?
Yeah, they did get the
Took the
2-point conversion
lead,
to get
right.
the 7-point lead, and they stopped Utah State with interception. Game over.
Right. Yeah, I have them being a good team this year. I think that first game was just a little hiccup. A lot of young players, getting used to the college football spotlight. And, Utah State's not that bad either, and they're probably underrated. So it was a good thing that they got out of that game with a win.
They looked good when I watched them. Michigan State did.
Right. All right. So my favorite game of last week, Michigan at Notre Dame. I think I was wrong about Michigan a little bit. I expected them to be better than they have been the last 4 years with Harbaugh, and watching that game, they just looked horrible. I mean, they only lost 17-24, but I think the score doesn't indicate how much of a real blowout it really was. Notre Dame had control the whole game, and Notre Dame impressed me.
Yeah, they did. That game, as you just said, their Michigan's score was late in the game. That was a 2-score lead until about 2 minutes left in the game. Michigan not looking too well. As you said, the past few years they're supposed to be better, and they haven't had any seasons with Harbaugh with 2 wins or better, with 2 losses, or better.
Yeah.
Like they've had at least 3 losses every single year that Harbaugh's been at Michigan. So.
And Michigan fans know it too. Even Braylon Edwards, he went on Twitter and wasn't too happy with Jim Harbaugh or the players, how they have been losing big games, and he was not very pleased.
I think Harbaugh's definitely underachieving. Everyone's saying he's not, but his record compared to Brady Hoke's isn't even as good against rivals, and that's the point of having Harbaugh is to beat Ohio State, and he can't do that.
Right. All right, let's move on. Last Saturday, Rutgers took care of Texas State, 35-7.
Yeah.
Yeah, what can you expect? Texas State, Rutgers, boring. Who cares?
Yeah, you want to watch that.
All right. So, a big upset from last week.
I like that.
Texas went to Maryland, played a neutral site game, technically, at the Redskins field. And it was the second year in a row that Maryland pulled off the upset, 34-29 against Texas. And, I was shocked because all the allegations on Maryland's coach, all the in the locker room, it can't be great around there right now. And as a college football fan, you have to wonder if Tom Herman possibly loses a job soon. I mean, so far he hasn't been able to do anything for Texas, and they spent a lot of money on him. So for him to be underperforming this much is not a good thing.
Yeah, I just don't know how Maryland beat Texas because I don't really watch Maryland that much unless they're playing Ohio State or Michigan. But when they play Ohio State, we kill them. I mean, it's not even close. They don't even look good. They look like one of those teams that just plays to just get done with the game.
Exactly.
I don't know how they would beat Texas.
Yeah.
Texas must be pretty bad.
All right, that was it for the Big Ten East games this past week. And some of the other games we picked included Auburn-Washington, which we disagreed on. Brady ended up being right. Auburn won 21-16. But in my opinion, I watched the game, and I think that Washington probably actually looked better in that game. It's just that they would get a first and goal, and then they would either fumble, they would miss a field goal, turnover on whatever the case may be. And then I think they were a little unlucky to lose that game possibly. And, I don't know. Both those teams didn't really impress me all that much that game.
Yeah, I actually thought Auburn was going to be quite a bit better, but honestly Washington was better than Auburn because Washington's one of those teams where I thought they were going to be like Miami, where everyone puts them as a high, like they think they have a chance to make the playoffs and all that. I thought they were just going to be another 20 or 3 to 4 loss team this year, even though they're not the best conference, but they did play good, I thought. They did lose because of the red zone. They couldn't even score when they got in the red zone. Like, they were in a speed option when Jake Browning is not a running quarterback, and I just thought that wasn't very smart, and they just couldn't score in the red zone.
Yeah. I think Washington losing that game is better for the Big Ten teams that hope to get into the playoff because with Washington losing that game, it makes it that much easier for the committee to say, hey, Pac-12's out. We're going to send 2 teams from either the SEC, the Big Ten, with a Big 12 team and an ACC team. So I think it was probably overall good for the premier teams in the Big Ten that happened. One game that I was not wrong about was the Bama-Louisville game. Bama ended up winning 51-14. May as well have been 100-0. Wasn't close ever. It was a beatdown from the beginning. Obviously, there was some controversy and after the game with Nick Saban going off on that reporter about naming the starting quarterback. But I felt like her question was fair, and I don't get why he just won't name Tua Tagovailoa the starter because he clearly outperformed Jalen Hurts in that game, and I think they should roll with him for here on out if they want to have a great season.
Yeah, and that was a pretty easy prediction to pick Alabama. I mean, there's no question they were going to kill Louisville. It's the tradition that Alabama plays, a pretty decent team the first game, a pretty decent name team the first game, but they always destroy them, and I just knew it would happen again. And with Nick Saban going off on the reporter, he should have just told Jalen Hurts before the season that he was not going to be the starter so he could go transfer to another school like Joe Burrow at Ohio State. And I don't know why he won't because, like you said, Tua is better than Jalen Hurts for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Joe Burrow, let's get to that LSU-Miami game where LSU won 33-17. That was another game that wasn't as close as the score looked. LSU dominated that game. Their defense was spectacular. Joe Burrow played well, even though his numbers weren't great. He led the team. LSU's receivers dropped a lot of passes, and Joe Burrow checked out of some plays to get into better plays where LSU eventually scored. And I think Joe Burrow impressed me. LSU impressed me, and that was one of the games I also got right this past week.
Yeah, I just thought Miami's not. I don't understand how they could be. How the AP poll could rank them at 8. Did they even see what happened last year? Like, everyone thought they were good because they were barely beating everybody. They barely beat North Carolina on the last play. It was 3-10. It doesn't even make sense how they could be that overhyped. And it was honestly an easy pick to pick LSU to beat them, and they destroyed them.
Right. Where Miami's defense, I think they're pretty good. I think their offense is just boring, and not a big fan of Malik Rosier or whatever his name is.
He's not good.
Yeah, he's not my favorite quarterback. But in the game on Monday night, Virginia Tech blasts Florida State on the road, 24-3, I believe. And that was one of the games I mispredicted. I thought Florida State would win that game with Cam Akers and DeAndre Francois. But yeah, I think Florida State fans were expecting their offense to be a lot better with Willie Taggart coming in. And yeah, it was very, very bad.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Florida State was going to win too, but they didn't. They're normally the better team than Virginia Tech, but they got handled this game.
They did.
I don't know how they'll be this year, if it'll be another season like last year, or if they'll actually be one of the top teams like they have been in the past.
You're right. I don't see Florida State winning all that many games. Probably 7-5, 8-4, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to week 2 and preview some of these Big Ten East games we got coming up. All right, the first conference game of the year, Rutgers comes to Ohio State. Should be a great game, a barn burner. I'm totally kidding. Ohio State hopefully wins by 45 points in this game. If they don't win, huge. I'll be very upset. What do you think about that game?
I mean, every single year since Rutgers has been in the Big Ten, OSU has easily destroyed them. I expect at least a 40-some point win, 42 points at least. And I hopefully less than 10 points that Ohio State will give up this game, and maybe like a late, if they give up any, hopefully it's like a late 7 points or 3 points.
Right. What do you think about the Michigan-Western Michigan game? Will Michigan rebound this week?
Michigan's going to be 500 after this week. They're going to finally win a game. If they lose, I don't know, that'll be hilarious. Then Harbaugh will really get looked at if they can lose this game. But yeah, they should easily win this game. They're probably going to win, I see, like 30 points. They're not going to absolutely destroy them because their offense just isn't that good. But they'll easily win this game for sure.
Right. This isn't the same Western Michigan team of a few years ago with, what's his name for the Titans? Corey Davis. And they had a good quarterback. Now they're just not nearly as good. They're coming off a loss, too. So this week I expect Michigan to probably come out motivated and hungry for a win to take care of Western Michigan by, like you said, about 35, 30 points. All right. This is one of my favorite games of the week.
Yeah.
Penn State plays a night game at Pittsburgh in a rivalry game. You know, this is a difficult one for me to predict. You know, I'm not high on Penn State this year, but at the same time, Pittsburgh's not great either. I think it'll be a close game like last week. I think I'm going to end up giving the edge to Penn State, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Pittsburgh ended up pulling off this upset in a home night game environment.
Yeah, I mean, it is. When small teams like that, like not as good teams, beat these top college football teams like that, it's normally a night game like this. Like, and they'll be pumped up and they'll want to win against Penn State. And I think Pittsburgh will win. That's my prediction. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Penn State won. This is honestly a toss-up. Penn State's not that great this year. I think as I said, they're like the 5th best team in the Big Ten is my prediction. But yeah, I just don't see them being too good this year, and I think Pittsburgh will win.
I like the guts. I like the confidence there. It's a chance for me to get even with you in our record.
Yeah.
And all right, Michigan State also plays a road night game. They play at Arizona State with a 10:30 EST kickoff. I think it possibly could be a trap game for Michigan State. You know, traveling to the West Coast, that's never easy, traveling coast to coast. And Arizona State's not bad. They have a Buckeye transfer at linebacker, Darius Slade. He had an amazing first game, dominated that game. I forget who they played, but I think they won pretty easy. So, I think that'll be a good game. I think Michigan State also, like Penn State, gets it done in the end. But I expect, a one-score game probably in that one.
Yeah, it should be a close game, but last time Michigan State played a Pac-12 team, they destroyed Washington State last year in the bowl game. I don't remember what bowl it was. It was a decent
It
bowl.
wasn't the Holiday Bowl or something. I
Holiday
think.
Bowl, that's what it was, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pac-12 got destroyed by the Big Ten last year and all the other conferences.
Yeah, it did.
Obviously, I think it'll be a good game, but I see Michigan State winning this game.
All right, the last Big Ten East game for week 2 is Maryland. They also play a real game. They travel to Bowling Green, which is weird because you don't see a lot of these Power 5 conferences traveling to smaller schools to play. But, yeah, they do go to Bowling Green. I think they, probably beat them fairly good, 21, 28 points. And, start out 2-0 probably for, good win for the Terrapins.
Yeah, it should be. This should be Maryland's game. I'd be very surprised if Maryland doesn't win this game. Maryland looks okay this year after beating Texas. I mean, yeah, I see them starting 2-0, having an undefeated record after 2 weeks.
Yep. All right, we're going to preview some of the other decent games this week. There's only actually 2 more that I, thought were good. The first one being Georgia being a 10-point favorite at South Carolina. I think it's a 3:30 kickoff. South Carolina is definitely not a powerhouse school, but I think it should be a good test for Georgia and a good, good way for the fans to see how good they are this year, if they're as good as last year. I think either way, Georgia will win the game, but I'm interested to see if they dominate or if it's a close game, like a touchdown, a field goal game. So eventually, I think Georgia will win. I think Jake Fromm will come up with a big fourth quarter score, and they'll be able to beat South Carolina by a touchdown or so.
Okay, for this game, I think Georgia is going to actually beat South Carolina by quite a few points, and the reason here is because South Carolina, they haven't been too great in the past years or so, but I just think this is a game that Georgia's going to come in. They have 2 good quarterbacks that they can throw in there. Doesn't matter which one, they're going to put points on the board, and I just think I think they're going to win by 3 scores-ish points in this game.
The Bulldogs, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. And for what my guess is will be game day this week, Clemson travels to Texas A&M for a night game. Texas A&M is known to have one of the loudest stadiums in college football. Jimbo Fisher coming in this year, his first season as head coach. Doesn't have any of his recruits yet, but still has his schemes. So I'm hoping it'll be a good game. Maybe can challenge the Tigers to possibly get a win. I think I will put Clemson in this game, but it depends on who starts at quarterback. I think if Trevor Lawrence plays more quarterback, Clemson will win fairly big. But I think if they go with Kelly Bryant, I think they'll start slow and it'll be more of a defensive ball game where late score for either team could win the ball game. So we'll see what happens there with who Dabo chooses to start at quarterback.
Yeah, and I think this game will be a lot closer than the Georgia versus South Carolina game because Texas A&M is just better than South Carolina, I think. And it's this stadium, they call it the home of the 12th man, which...
The 12th man.
Yeah, which pretty much means...
Gig 'em.
Yeah. And I still think Clemson's going to win, but I don't think they're going to absolutely dominate this game, and I think that Texas A&M will put up a fight, but Clemson will pull off in the late third quarter. They'll gain a lead.
Like you said, I hope these 2 games are good games either way. Obviously, I'm going to root for the upsets for all of them besides the Ohio State game because that's college football. That's what you want to see. So, guys, last week there weren't any comments. This week I want to see some comments, see what you guys think about all the games, about individual games, whatever it may be. I want to hear your opinions and discuss it with you guys. So yeah, give us a like and possibly a subscription. It's up to you. Yeah, you turn them off, ready?
Yep.
All right,
That's
cool.
all I think.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.